Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo.
A man who embodies the spirit of Formula One. A man celebrated not just for his undeniable skills and achievements behind the wheel, but for a charisma that lights up the whole paddock. With 8 Grand Prix wins, 32 podiums, and over 1,300 points to his name, Ricciardo was once seen as one of the sport's brightest stars, challenging legends like Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel for supremacy. His personality and skill led him to be adored by fans worldwide. Yet, in the world of motorsport, you're only ever as good as your last race. And in just a few seasons, the narrative surrounding Ricciardo has shifted dramatically. From being seen as a powerhouse on the track, doubts have crept in, with many suggesting his best days are now behind him. Critics argue his place in the sport now hangs not on merit, but on the weight of his popularity. And it all leads back to one day. This is the story of the day that changed Daniel Ricciardo forever. Daniel Ricciardo's path to prominence in Formula One began with an impressive display at the Young Driver Test in 2010, where he outpaced the reigning world champion Sebastian Vettel. This performance secured him a position as Toro Rosso's test and reserve driver for the 2011 season, setting the stage for his Red Bull journey. Midway through 2011, Ricciardo took his first race seat at HRT, and he laid down performances that caught the eye of many. Over the next 2 years at Toro Rosso, he consistently outperformed his teammate Jean-Eric Vergne, particularly in the 2013 standings, which led to his promotion for the 2014 season alongside Vettel at Red Bull Racing. During his tenure at Red Bull, Ricciardo established himself as one of the leading drivers on the grid. His 2014 season was notable for 3 race wins, and he outperformed Vettel, securing his 3rd place finish in the championship. And Ricciardo's momentum didn't stop there, with his first pole position in Monaco 2016. And despite some team tensions, notably with his teammate Max Verstappen in 2018, he continued to demonstrate his capability behind the wheel and his resilience as a driver. The 2018 Monaco Grand Prix stands out as a defining moment for Ricciardo. After a heartbreaking loss in 2016 due to a pit stop error, Ricciardo returned to Monaco with determination. Despite a power issue during the race, he managed to fend off Vettel, securing a victory that was as much about personal redemption as it was about showcasing his skill and determination. And then, Ricciardo made what most people would mark as the decision which led to his downfall, the move to Renault. But this move, in my opinion, wasn't a bad one, with Red Bull focusing now on Max Verstappen as their number 1, and Ricciardo's goal at this point still being to become a world champion. Moving to the former world championship winning French outfit as a clear number 1 driver ticked a lot of boxes. Despite a rocky start in his first year with the team, finishing 9th in the championship in 2019, 2020 saw an upturn in his fortunes, and quite possibly the peak of Daniel Ricciardo. He finished 5th with 119 points in the 2020 season. He was the first driver without a top 4 car to do so in the 21st century, with 2 podium finishes marking Renault's best performance in recent years. And then came the McLaren switch. At that moment, the air was thick with optimism. Daniel Ricciardo was a prime contender in the F1 world. He was moving from an underperforming Renault to a McLaren team that was on the ascent. This move was celebrated, seen as a match that would bring out the best in both driver and the team. Yet, this transition marked a pivotal point for Ricciardo. His integration into McLaren revealed a significant challenge, adapting to a car that diverged sharply from what Ricciardo's natural driving style was. This car demanded changes in Ricciardo's approach, introducing him to a new struggle that seemed to overshadow his known strengths on the track. More recently, Christian Horner reflected on Ricciardo's time at McLaren, suggesting that the driver who returned to Red Bull after this stint wasn't the same one who left, indicating that the time at McLaren altered Ricciardo's approach and perhaps even his confidence permanently. During the time at McLaren, Ricciardo's reputation also took a massive hit. Despite a memorable win at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, his performance was overshadowed by his younger teammate Lando Norris. McLaren CEO Zak Brown explicitly criticised Ricciardo's performances, suggesting it fell short of the team's expectations. This critique was underscored by the team's decision to sign Oscar Piastri for the 2023 season. Effectively cutting Ricciardo's time with McLaren short, Ricciardo was fired. Ricciardo's challenges at McLaren were multifaceted. He pointed out the car's unique feel and feedback issues, which compromised his cornering ability and overall confidence. An enlightening conversation with Carlos Sainz, who also had noted the car's peculiar characteristics, confirmed Ricciardo's suspicions that adapting to the car was not merely a personal hurdle, but a shared challenge among a few drivers who have driven for McLaren. The day Ricciardo signed for McLaren was the day that Ricciardo killed his career. Moving on to today, Ricciardo is currently back with the Red Bull family, racing for their sister team RB in 2024. It's supposed to be the rebound year for Daniel Ricciardo, yet the season's been anything but smooth. He's been echoing the challenging times that he had at McLaren, Ricciardo's struggling to match his teammates' pace, especially highlighted at his most recent outing at the Australian Grand Prix. It's reignited concerns about his performance. He was a mere tenth slower than Yuki Tsunoda on his best lap before a track limits violation put him further down the field. It's a reflection of Ricciardo's ongoing battle with the car and himself. The optimism surrounding Ricciardo's potential resurgence with RB Racing has been met with a stark reality. His performance in the early races, particularly that qualifying session in Australia, underlines a discrepancy between the expectations and outcomes. Ricciardo's own admission was that his best lap time still fell short of Tsunoda's pace, and Red Bull don't even think Tsunoda is at a good place at this point in time. His frustration isn't just with the small things, such as the penalty or making a small mistake here and there, but with a much more persistent pace deficit, reminiscent of his struggle to adapt to the McLaren. Even when you compare the interviews with the Ricciardo of today compared to a Ricciardo during the McLaren days, they seem to mirror each other.
Why am I doing this? Is it because of what I feel? Is it, like I'm trying to then respond or correlate that to the data and talk to the engineers why I'm doing something. And then, to be honest, a little bit like Barcelona, where just, didn't seem to operate at the same level of grip as the cars around me. So, a little bit obviously confused by that at the moment.
Ricciardo doesn't have the confidence that he'll be able to turn this around. For example, Ricciardo's reference to looking for car issues as a potential explanation for his lack of pace mirrors exactly what he was talking about back in the McLaren days. Despite RB Racing's efforts to tailor the car to his driving style, Ricciardo still faces that similar dilemma, feeling at the car's limits, yet unable to secure the most out of the car. His quest for further checks, hoping to uncover unnoticed car problems, highlights a proactive but anxious approach to rectifying the whole situation. Now, as we look forward, Ricciardo is having to navigate a very challenging phase. There's pressure mounting, not just to perform, but to prove that he can overcome these hurdles. With Helmut Marko's critical gaze and Liam Lawson's looming presence, Ricciardo's path forward is fraught with the need for massive improvements. He's acknowledged the balanced feel of the car, yet he hasn't been able to confront the gap in corner speeds. Ricciardo is determined to keep questioning, to keep refining in pursuit of recapturing the peak form of the Renault or Red Bull days.
Even, obviously it's nice that there was moments in the race where I did have pace and I was able to show, okay, I can still get some good stints in there, but it was still good to get the laps. And there's things through the race where
There's a multitude of drivers who are ready to proceed and take his spot. You've got Liam Lawson, Ollie Behrman, Kimi Antonelli. There's so many other drivers just waiting for a seat in Formula One. Daniel Ricciardo's journey through to this season is a complex narrative of resilience, adaptation, and relentless pursuit of excellence. Currently, he's striving to bridge that gap to his teammates and the expectations that we've put on him as a driver. We're all left to wonder, can Ricciardo turn the season around? Or will the echoes of McLaren's stint continue to resonate? What do you think Ricciardo needs to focus on to regain his form? Share your thoughts down below, and let's discuss the future of one of Formula One's most loved drivers. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do want more in-depth Formula One content, and if you want more on Formula One's history, watch my video on the Ferrari 412 T2 on screen now.